Hello folks, I am here to talk to you today about the Taurus G2 PT111 Millennium 9mm. Just before I begin the talk about it, I'd like to note that the magazine is out, the well is empty, and there is no cartridge in the firearm. I just want to be clear on that. Um, I'd like to talk to you about feeding issues with this. It all started when I first purchased the firearm. I had stovepiping issues, and what I mean by that is the cartridge would stovepipe up the feed ramp, and it'd get stuck, which would leave the firearm not in full battery. It'd leave it right about there. It happened to me during a match I was shooting at, and it was quite embarrassing, and it was disappointing. And the reason I say that is when I purchased this firearm, um, I I just it fit my hand perfectly. Um, just an overall felt like a good fit for me. I know I'll probably see comments later below about Glocks and etc. I'm happy for you if you like Glocks, and I'm sure there's going to be comments on how this gun is junk. Um, I would beg to differ that it's junk, even though it's a little disappointing when you have issues. And so, anyway, back to why I made this video. Um, so, originally, I was having stovepipe feed problems where it would stick halfway up the feed ramp, would not allow the slide to go all the way forward. Um, so originally I had called Taurus. I told them I was shooting a IDPA match and the gun kept jamming on me. I explained what was going on. They suggested it was a possible magazine failure, and they would ship me a new one. They did. They didn't require me to send the old one back in. So kudos to Taurus. It was fast service. I had the new magazine within less than a week. So um, suffice to say, I put the new magazine in, tried it out. Um, every once in a while, it's still stovepipe. I have a couple of my brothers purchase these, um, and I have some friends that had purchased these. The majority of them had the same problem with the stovepiping. Um, come to find out that with breaking it in and well lubrication will 9 times out of 10 stop that. So if you buy one of these and it stovepipes at first, don't be alarmed. Um, chances are it just needs to be broken in and you need to make sure it's well lubed. That's a key. The current problem that I'm having now is not so much stovepiping, but it's feeding down and the tip of the bullet is catching right at the bottom of the feed ramp. Now, one thing I forgot to mention with the stovepiping, and let me take this apart real quick. I polished the feed ramp. That helped tremendously with the stovepiping. Did the same thing to one of my brother's firearms, and it quit the stovepiping. Feeds well. Polishing the feed ramp, I used a Dremel and some Flitz metal polish. That helped a great deal. I don't know if this helped at all, but also I changed out to a stainless guide rod from Lakeline LLC. If you notice this one, I don't know if you can tell in the light, but it's got a curve to it. Um, and I really wasn't that happy with it. I noticed on my brother's, the tip of the spring was just kind of discombobulated, so I thought that I would change over to a stainless guide rod. I like it. Anyway, So with that said, but I have the problem with the um, casing sticking down now, jamming down. So I took a couple magazines that I had, and these seem to work fine. If you notice on this magazine, see if I can get this here. If you notice that the tip of the yellow cocks down, and if you push back, it straightens it out. Then it releases and it cocks down again. So I believe what is happening is that when and it does it randomly, intermediately, when the cartridge is released, it comes down, and therefore sticking in the bottom of the feed ramp. Also, let me quick assemble this, and I will show you something. I put this magazine in, I go to pull it back, look at that, stuck case right there in that magazine. I only stuck one cartridge in, pop the magazine out, stuck. My firearm isn't even fully locked back, it's just stuck in that position. Pull it back and it's fine. So you do that with my other two magazines. Loads just fine. I don't have a feeding issue, or seem to have a feeding issue with these other magazines. So suffice to say, I'm having another magazine issue. I checked it out on YouTube for feeding issues for the Taurus. Some were helpful, some were not. One of the gentlemen had said that the Taurus firearm is a good firearm, but they do have a lot of magazine issues. He had ordered a 10-round magazine on Cheaper Than Dirt, and said he hasn't had a feed issue since. So I'm pretty happy with these other two mags, but this one here, I'm gonna call Taurus and see if I can get another one, and possibly buy another one of those 10 rounds. Especially having a carry gun, an everyday carry gun, you want to be able to rely on it. So what I'm gonna do with this gun is I'm gonna go out back. I'm going to fire a lot of rounds through it and make sure that these two magazines are truly good to go. And I just know for sure that this one here is junk. So I hope this helps. Please leave your comments below. And again, I don't need to hear a bunch of comments about that these suck and get a Glock. Nothing against Glock. I'm sure it's a fine firearm, but there is a lot of people out there who did purchase these. That's what they could afford at the time, and it's better than throwing a pencil at someone if you need to. Anyway, God bless America, and God bless the Republic. Take care.